G'day guys, Andrew from Aussie Builds here. Let's talk drive shaft maintenance. Now you've done a few runs with your car, you've torn it down and you're during the rebuild and freshen up process, or you're at the track and you want to give those drive shafts a freshen up because you've been running in some really bad conditions. A really easy way to tell if you need to refresh your drive shafts and re-grease them is looking at the inside of the cup. You can see that there's not a lot of grease left over. The texture of it's changed, it's the color of the dirt that you're running on, and physically when you twist the CVA itself, it's a bit crunchy, it's not as smooth as it used to be, and it generally just feels dry. A really easy way to tell if you need that is by pulling them out and feeling them by hand. You get that smooth motion's not there like it used to be. But also a symptom on track that a lot of people miss is that when you're going over a jump and your arms are at full droop, you might actually hear a squeaking sound. And a lot of people think that that's a blown bearing in your outdrives or your diff outdrive or your hubs. What it more than likely is, especially in till drive, is the CVAs need a re-grease. So they're running dry, they're twisting, and when the arm's at full droop, the CVA is bent, the bone's bent, and it's twisting like that, and it squeaks because it's turning quite fast. That's a really quick way to know that your CVAs need a re-grease. Before you get started, what you are going to need is some mechanic's towel or some paper towel. It is optional. You can use a heavy duty degreaser. I use just a mechanic's degreaser for engine parts, or you can just use some simple green on some paper towel. That's fine. If you're at the track and you don't have anything, you can use things like that. So what we'll do is we'll pull these apart and get them all freshened up. Let's pull these apart. We'll use the pick tool that I use here. You can use another pin, or you can use a body pin. I know a lot of people actually use the retaining pin out of the rear hex. You can use that and just push that through. I just use this pick here. Pull that out, so pulling apart the drive shafts themselves there, and first thing I notice is when I pull them apart, you can see all this powder coming out, and that's actually dried up grease, and that grease is dried up through dirt and just running, and you can tell it's greased by because it just smears when you run your finger over it. So I know instantly that these drive shafts need a rebuild. I know that these drive shafts are fairly new and that they don't need a complete rebuild kit, they just need to freshen up. A really easy way to tell if you need to put a rebuild kit in there is if the little inserts have gone completely silver, so all the black coating's worn off them. Also, an easy way to tell if you need new CVA bones or dog bones is that you'll see a little notch in there. Worn in, and that's from the pin as you accelerate constantly hitting and twisting. And what happens when you have that notch there is that there's a little bit of a delay in the engagement of drive, and then that can cause you to lose traction. So anytime you see a little notch starting to wear out there, it's time to replace these. So what I'll do is I'll get the parts separated out, and I'll use some degreaser, just a little bit of degreaser on them, just to spray it on. And I'm just spraying it on some mechanic's towel here. I'll rub my finger around on them and just clean them up like that, just getting whatever dried up grease is left over. Then what I'll do is I'll grab a mechanic's towel, another one, a clean one, just a spare, and I'll wipe down the parts, make sure they're nice and clean there, so that's good to go back in. The reason that I like to use brake cleaner or heavy duty degreaser or brake cleaner you can use is that it cuts back any of the grease that's left over there. So if you don't clean these completely and then you put some new fresh grease in there, that that's just going to contaminate the grease that you've just put in, and you're not going to get a long life out of your drive shafts. So basically what I'll do is I'll repeat this process for all of the parts, spraying inside the cups, spraying inside the bones, and then wiping them off with the mechanic's rag, and then we'll be ready to build them back up. Now our parts are cleaned up and good to go. All we're going to do is, as per a normal drive shaft build, I'm using some kitchen grade paper towel. I like using this when building CVAs because you don't get any pickup or any little pieces of burl lint or anything like that off the towel. Really good quality mechanic's rag will do that as well. I just like using paper towel because it's a bit cheaper. So basically we'll just put a little bit of black grease on there, like so, and then we'll just grease up the little barrel inserts there, just making sure they're nice and coated in grease. Now that they're nice and coated, we'll grab a bone and then just pick them up, insert like that, wipe off any excess, twist so the pin hole is facing upward, and then we'll just go and insert our retaining pin. Like so, twisting, and then there we go. Got a nice freshly rebuilt drive shaft, nice and smooth. You can visually see some grease is coated all the way around. Then what you'll want to do is just wipe off any excess grease that's just on the edge of the bone there. More grease will attract more dirt, so we only want grease on the joint in the barrel there. And that's a rebuilt drive shaft ready to go to chuck back in the car for the next run.